Welcome, welcome, welcome. Susan Lazar Hart here, your congruency coach, creator of Congruent Living Coaching and the Congruent Living Academy. How does it get any juicier than that? Welcome, welcome. This is live, new time. We thought we'd play around and see what else is possible in the way that people can reach me and ask their questions. And the questions have been coming in, so thanks so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. If you're coming in later, hashtag replay. If you're coming in now, this is not a dialogue or monologue. It's a conversation. So come on in with your questions. And there's no question that you could ask that isn't actually in somebody else's head. Isn't that interesting? So when you say, oh, I don't want to ask a question. Sorry, I'm going to take a sip of tea. When you don't want to ask a question, write it in. Hey, Galen, thanks for coming on. How much fun is that? So our question today is, Susan, I was brought up to believe in others knowing me more than myself. That others were to believe in me more than I believe in myself. So how do I change that? Hey, Rosanna, love this. Thanks, Rosanna. Yay, I love all the hearts that come on. Thanks so much. So my advice to you, if any of you have this question, and so many of us do, we were brought up to believe, at a very young age that others knew more about us than we did. And we learned to lean into that because they were the people that fed us, that clothed us, that taught us, right? And so those very formative years were created through belief systems of what we were supposed to believe. And very few of us were actually recognized for our knowing, our innate knowing, that supreme intelligence we carry within us. Most of us were brought up to just believe what I say, right? Just do this, just believe me. Believe me, this will work out better, right? Just trust me. So when somebody says that to you and they don't actually ask you a question, you as a little child kind of tuck that innate knowing behind you. So this question, Susan, I was brought up to believe in others more than myself. How can I change that? Is so apropos, especially of today, which so much shifts going on, so much being thrown at us in terms of this is what the media knows, this is what the government knows, this is what your community knows, and this is what we believe, so you have to believe it too. Well, no. This question is brilliant. I love it. I love it. I love it. So how do you shift that believing others know more or what's better for you than you do, is start listening to your inner voice. We all came here with that inner voice. I call it your North Star. So if you don't know how to listen to that inner voice, begin by making time to listen. Now that could be going for walks in the morning, or that could be just taking some time right now, right? Take some time right now for you. Tap in and ask yourself, what is it that makes me me and brings me joy? Just tap in for a moment and write down whatever pops for you, right? What is it that brings me joy, that actually makes me me? Because each one of us is different. We all look like a garden together, but each flower is different. Each flower requires different nurturing. Right? Each flower requires different tending. Each flower grows separately and differently, and yet together they all add to the whole. That's who we are as infinite beings. So tap into what brings you joy, what truly brings you joy, what makes you you, and be that energy, right? Be that energy. Now put your hand, right now, just be with me. Put your hand on your heart. Close your eyes. Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. And tap into that innate intelligence that recognizes what truly brings you joy, what you bring to you, that recognizes that well of strength that has always been within you. Be with it. Believe it. Trust it. Listen to it. That's your North Star. That's your North Star. And each one of us has our own different well of strength because each one of us has our own different reality. So when you feel good about who you truly be, when you tap in, you're much more prone to feel empowered to create a life you love by your design, by your desire, what brings you life, what spreads your wings, not by someone else's point of view about what you be and how you should be. Now, whatever we believe, positive or negative, strengthens or diminishes our trust in our innate knowing and what creates what we truly love. Hey, Sonali, welcome, welcome. Hey, as you pop in, tell us where you're from. We have an international community, so love hearing from everybody. Now, again, whatever we believe, positive or negative, right, either strengthens or diminishes our trust in our innate knowing of what creates a life that we truly love, what we believe, right? Yeah, I believe. Now, remember, nobody knows you better than you. So you've just been trained from a very young age, as we've talked about in the beginning, to believe that others know better than you do about what you require. Now, I love the question that came in this morning. How do I change this? Well, it's called pattern interrupt. We all have these beliefs, we all have these patterns that we tend to go to. And whether they work for us or not, we know them better as, oh, this is who I am. Well, that's just the way I am. You ever hear yourself say that? Oh, I can't believe I did that again. Well, that's just the way I am. I can't believe he or she is doing that again. Why do they always do this to me? Why do I always feel like this? Whenever you hear those voices, understand that's a pattern that you were taught to believe in, again, at a very young age. And you brought it with you into adulthood. So, a pattern interrupt is actually neuro-linguistic programming. It's where we exchange an old habit. You've heard me say this before. Take an old habit and create a new one. Where we exchange an old habit or an unwanted way of being and thinking about ourselves with a new habit that encourages us to go forth and reach towards what we truly desire and acknowledge and appreciate what we truly desire. So instead of tackling this resistance head on, use a pattern interrupt to kind of swipe the legs out of the resistance. So let's do this together. Take a moment. Choose a behavior that you'd like to change, that you normally just go into automatic about without thinking, right? Just choose that behavior. Now, observe the pattern, how it runs, and what is its root? What's the signal that usually turns it on? Now, I'm going to give you an example. I was just talking with a client this morning, and she had just come home from being with her father. And it didn't turn out the way she wanted. And she was just filled with all of those emotions of what she had expected and what she wanted and the parent she was always looking for. Now this parent is now an aged parent. So let's put ourselves in that space. You come home from talking to an aged parent filled with anger for them about them not being the parent you always wanted when you were younger and needed them the most. And you approach them now as if you were then, with all of your stories, with all of your patterns, with all of your expectations, and expectations is a pattern. And how do we interrupt that? We actually take a moment. We recognize the pattern, recognize it's actually distracting us, it's making us angry, or it's making us tense, or it's filling us with stress, right? And say to yourself, they did the best with the tools they had. Now this tool itself is a pattern interrupt. They did the best with the tools they had. When you open your heart and acknowledge they did the best with the tools they had, it actually shifts and changes the way you thought you were supposed to be with this. It opens your heart, it opens your space, it opens your world to something different. And I actually use this tool with myself. Whenever I hear those voices coming up that are there either with a disappointment, with a regret, with a I should have, whatever that was, and I find myself going down a rabbit hole instead of creating a life I love, instead of creating something juicy, instead of reaching for more, I'm distracted by, I just say to myself, wow, I did the best I could with the tools I had, right? I did the best I could with the tools I had. So when you notice a pattern going and you're not believing in yourself, because of an expectation, because of, and you turn to someone else to believe in you, like a parent, a teacher, a job you're applying for, whatever that is, right? Instead of buying into the emotions of what take you down a rabbit hole, just acknowledge, wow, I did the best. I applied for this job with the best tools that I had. I did the best with the tools that I had. They did the best with the tools that they had. She did the best with the tools that they have. So observe that pattern. Now there's a new pattern. And how is it creating with you? Now, once again, this is not a dialogue or monologue. It's a conversation. Come on in with your questions. It's such a big question that we were never actually, what is it about the way that we were brought up, and how can we shift and change that? Well, it's not going down the rabbit hole. It's more about, okay, what is it that I believe that's true for me? Again, be present with that. What's true for you? Because what's true for you is not necessarily true for anyone else, right? And when you go to somebody else to believe in you greater than you believe in yourself, you're actually giving up your responsibility to you. You're giving up your authority to you and who you're asking to be and what you're asking to be. Because no one knows you better than you. And that's where mentorship comes in. That's where, working with somebody, a coach, where there's an accountability. So when you go down the rabbit hole, like my client was doing this morning, she reached out to me. We actually talked about, what is that? What's that emotion? What were you looking for? What belief system did you have? And when you're looking for someone else to nurture you, to complete your life for you, to show you where you should be going, stop and ask yourself, am I willing to do that for me? Right? Am I willing to show myself where I need to go, what's required? Because who you be, what you be, and how you be is totally different than what somebody else will hold as what they believe for you. You know you better than anyone else. So once again, I love that you've all come on in. If you're watching later and you have some questions, come on in with your questions. Let me know what's popping for you. If you would like more information, just put #believe and give me a question that you're asking for that we can talk about on next week's Ask Susan on Congruent Living for creatives and seekers living in the now. If there are no questions, I will love you and leave you. Live boldly, love greatly, and be that fearless leader that you came here to be. Because the world needs more of you and that special sauce. The world needs you believing in you, in that intrinsic strength. Put your hand on your heart. Be present with you. Whatever that requires. Beginning of the day. Oh, I got a thumbs and a heads up on that. Thanks so much. Yeah. Anytime you need that, anytime you find you're going into an old pattern, put your hand on your heart and ask yourself, what is it that I'm looking for that I believe someone else should be giving me? And am I willing to be that for me? I'm doing the best with the tools that I have. I wonder what else is possible. Until we meet again. And if you like this, if you're watching this on YouTube, share it with a friend, right? Make a comment. I love to hear from you. You know that. And have an amazing day. Bye-bye.